Welcome to our channel, Tanesia's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri. Today I'm going to give you 18 things you need to make sure are in order if you want to say that you have gotten your money's worth with regard to your retightening. Things that you need to look for in a good retightening. If you are not getting at least 75% of these things, you may want to rethink who you're giving your money to. If this looks like a video that you want to continue to listen to, please don't forget to like, share, or subscribe so that the algorithms will allow us mass grand appeal. And thank you for all my beautiful, beautiful soul sisters. I love y'all. I have met so many beautiful souls while traversing this wonderful channel and having this third dimensional experience. It has been wonderful. So stick around and let me get into these 18 things you need to be looking for in order to feel like you've gotten a good retightening. Welcome to Tanesia's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by. Number 1. You want to be able to make sure that there's respect for your grid. Now, while I'm not picky about my grid, I don't go ballistic when it comes to my grid, you guys. You know how I am. Fundamentally, my grid is still intact and it looks pretty good. I just don't obsess over it. And whether or not you want to obsess over it is not the issue. The person that's doing your hair, they need to be obsessing over your grid because they need to be making sure they're not messing it up, right? Number 2, you want to make sure that your retightening is being done on a clean hair. Now, when I go to get my retightening from the lovely Queenie Frage, I typightly will always wash my hair before I go in to get it. She only works on clean hair, and I wouldn't have it any other way. But if you're going to get a retightening and your hair is not clean, that's going to be a no-no. If you're not washing it, then the person who's retightening it definitely needs to be. Number 3, you want a loctician who not only is paying attention from a critical standpoint when she's doing your hair to what's happening with your hair, but one who is investigating and then subsequently informing you about what she sees. You don't want a retightening situation where you have someone sitting there working on your hair every day for 2 years, and then when you start losing your hair or you start losing locks, they're acting like they don't know what happened. You want someone who can dialogue and converse with you about what's going on with your hair. That's the third sign of a good retightening. Number 4, it's timed based on your individual needs. You don't want to be lumped into a one-size-fits-all assembly line. Oh, you need to come back to me every 4 to 6 weeks. This person hasn't even seen your hair, the amount of growth that you get, whether or not that's too frequent a retightening schedule or not. They are just going by how they run their clients in and out of their facility. You may not need a retightening that often. Your hair may not be able to take a retightening that often. Conversely, if you have a good loctician who's very tender on your hair and does a quality retightening, maybe you want to get a retightening before every 8 weeks. It depends on your individual situation. It also depends on the quality of the retightening that you are actually getting, okay? The next thing that you want to pay attention to, number 5, is you don't want to be sitting down getting your retightening while your hair is tangled. You don't really want someone detangling as they go through your hair. You either want to have untangled your hair prior to sitting down in that chair, which if you're not shampooing your own hair, you're going to have difficulty doing, which means you're turning over something that is a key part of the success of the longevity of the health of your hair journey. You're turning that over to someone else, which means that you want to be sitting there, and if they're going to be responsible for detangling your hair, you don't want to hear them ripping through. You don't want the scissors going every time you turn around. You don't want to hear hair snapping. You want them to take the time to spray it, wet it down with some type of moisturizer or something that's going to make it damp. Or even, and if you're purchasing I Am Melanin Magic, they need to be using this and massaging it in. It will definitely help you tremendously work through the tangles, and you can get that with the information in the description, IamMelaninMagic.com. You want them using something to detangle your hair besides just snatching the hair apart, because you know when you finish shampooing your hair, typically you're going to have some tangling that is going to happen. And the further you are in your retightening schedule, or the further you are in the retightening cycle, before you are actually due for retightening, or if you're overdue, you're going to notice a little more tangling than normal. You don't just want someone carelessly and haphazardly going through your hair. If you watch my channel, you will know that one of the things that is a threat to our hair more than anything else, other than just a sorry person going through there raking like they're raking the leaves outside, is going to be just snatching that hair apart and breaking those strands unnecessarily. You may have some breaking or popping every now and then, here and again, because things do marry and they do entangle, but that should be more the exception than the rule when you start feeling as though you're in a tug-of-war match, okay? Number 6, I already talked about, which is some sort of a solution to help with the detangling. When you sit down in that chair and you're coming in for retightening, and that person that's retightening your hair doesn't have a spray bottle with something in it, then you're dealing with someone who's not prepared for the challenges of a quality retightening, cannot give you a level of customer service that's going to exceed your expectations, and someone who has little to no experience with growing a healthy head of locks and is very much haphazard. Okay, this is something that you just simply do not want. Efrage, before I started bringing in my own hair, and really I go through my hair before I get a retightening, but there were times where I was a little more lax. When she noticed I had tangles, she would just spray my hair with the water and gently separate or sever the attachments. Okay, so this is very important. Number 7, assess the hair of your scalp and give suggestions for interventions. Now, this is different than just investigating your hair and saying, oh, you know, your hair seems a little drier today. Or, you know what, I don't think you need a retightening every 6 weeks during this winter phase because your hair seems to be growing a lot slower. Oh, you've been taking that biotin, that folic acid. You've been doing those sulfur rinses and taking those flakes. Your hair is really, oh wait, and you've been also doing that iron melanin magic. Your hair is really growing by leaps and bounds this summer. I think you better come in for the next few months or the next few retightenings a week earlier. Not just that, you want someone that is looking at the health of your scalp, that is letting you know if you have excessive dryness, if you're dealing with flakiness, if your hair is not having that sheen that it needs to have, that lets you know that your hair is healthy. You want someone who is engaging with you and letting you know what is going on with your hair because they're sitting over your head and they have a 360-degree view of what's going on, something that you don't have the same advantage of without a lot of effort. You want them to not only dialogue with you and alert you to potential problems and also things that you may be doing good, but you want them also to give you suggestions about intervention, things that you can do. Whether or not you take the suggestions is a different story. You may decide that there's something else you want to do, but the point is you want to know that you can trust somebody enough to put your hair in their hands and know that they're going to give you what you need in the way of a feedback loop. Okay, number 8. I'm doing good for the first time. I'm staying on target with the time and I'm staying on target with the numbers. You guys know I'll give you a number on a thumbnail and then I'll be all over the place. So number 8 is going to be a good retightening involves them timing the retightening and not over rushing so as not to tear your hair up. If you're getting a retightening, I will still say this, y'all. I know we have genetics and some of us have finer hair and some of us are more prone to hair loss than others. We all have to do things to build the capacity of what our hair can withstand, which is what the oils and things that I work with are about. Not changing your genetics, but helping you to work with what you have and helping you to reverse, or helping you to offset some of the effects of the things that we have to do, like go outside and be exposed to the elements, deal with the acidic effects of the water that's on our hair, deal with what happens when we go and get a retightening and our hair can sometimes be traumatized. So what I'm saying here is that you don't want to be sitting up getting a retightening and the person is rushing and you are hearing your hair tear. I will maintain that a head full of locks beyond a certain number have no business being retightened at a speed where it's so fast that they are moving so quickly that your hair is being handled roughly. And if that is happening to you, just let your loctician know. Just let them know, I would like you to slow down a little bit, or that hurts. If you start saying that hurts or that makes my hair sore, then that's really all you have to say, because they're going to know that they have to slow down so that it doesn't hurt. All right. But I tend to feel like we should be somewhere in the middle. And for me, it's worth it to pay more if it requires, or if what I'm getting is going to allow me to feel more relaxed about the quality of the retightening, because it's the quality of the retightening that supersedes your diet, what you're eating, how often you get your reties, and how you're caring for your hair, and whether or not you braid and band or style in crazy ways and pull your hair. The quality of your retightenings long term is going to be the #1 factor that will determine if you start thinning, balding, losing locks, and everything else, barring some natural catastrophe or some health disaster. You can take that to the bank, y'all, and I mean it. Okay, number 9. A good retightening will never result in the marriage of locks without your consent. No one should marry a lock or combine a lock without your consent or without your knowledge. Okay, we do this sometimes when locks thin, and that's fine, because your loctician more than likely will tell you about that. And if she doesn't, you need to have a conversation about the fact that, I want to be as much, you want to be diplomatic, I don't want to be as much a part of this journey and as much of an active participant as possible. And as such, just let me know when you decide to combine a lock, because I may decide I kind of want to nurse it to health before we combine it, or I may want to look at other options, or I may just want to say thank you for letting me or making me aware of what's happening in that area of my head that may be causing you to want to combine that lock. Different situation. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is when you have locks that are being married due to sheer negligence and carelessness, and you are not being told about it, and you go home, like many of you sisters have commented on the channel or sent me texts about, and you find some married locks in your hair, and you're told something like, well, I've only been doing this for a certain amount of time, but I know I'm going to be the best loctician in the country. And I guess the locticians you've been working with for so long, they wouldn't be marrying your locks. No, that's not going to cut it. And that's not a very humble response. That doesn't say to me that you have compassion for the fact that you have stepped into my head and shit in my head, basically. You made a mess in my hair by marrying locks. And now, potentially, if I don't have someone to go through them with a fine-tooth comb and a hell of a lot of the patience of Job, I'm going to lose hair. And my locks are going to thin, and I'm going to suffer the consequences of this long term. If you're being married, just like in real life, it should happen with your consent. When it happens without your consent, y'all, it's a problem, and it's something that we need to address. And it can happen in a very kind way, in a very sensible way. But when you start to notice more and more of your locks, I wish I could think of the sister's name offhand who's been texting me, but she let her last loctician know why she left the previous loctician and what her concerns were with marrying. And that loctician seemed as though she totally understood and could be empathic and empathetic about the situation. And she went only to find that she had several locks that were married. And the lady, one of the ones who was doing the marrying, didn't really humble herself when she mentioned it. And that's the thing, like, take full responsibility and see if you can't take some corrective action. If my daughter can sit up here for an hour and a half and unmarry some locks that somebody else married because I decided to leave my home base, Efraj, and go to someone in Macon, it just doesn't make sense. And then I had to wonder why I was seeing the scissors, and if the scissors were a result of her marrying locks and not the fact that I come with tangled hair. Because when I got on the phone that same weekend with Efraj said to me, baby, you never have tangled hair. Of all the clients that I deal with, your hair is the least tangled. And if I run into tangles, then it's something that I take notice of, because you always take the time to make sure when you sit down in my chair, your hair is not tangled. So y'all, I had to kind of start thinking about that after the fact. Let's move on, moving right along. The next one, number 10, does not over tighten. big problem. Big problem. Big problemo. This is one of the most common things that contributes to hair loss, hair trauma, follicle death, you being upset, having to take your locks out, losing hair, going bald, and the list goes on and on and on. And you know what the funny thing is? The way you can isolate that and know that that's what the problem is because when you take all the locks out, or when you start taking care of your hair, or when you start using one of these two things on your hair and you start seeing peach fuzz and hair grow back, you know it's not an issue of your hair not being able to grow. It's got to be something else. Either it's horrible nutrition or it's the fact that there's been trauma to that part of your hair and your hair is not equipped with the kind of resilience that it needs in order to be able to bounce back from this every 2-month trauma or every 6-week trauma, or for some of you, every 4 weeks. If you're on a 4-week retightening schedule, that's something you might want to rethink long term and ask yourself, do I really need to be going in that frequently? And trust me, it is not about the money. Next one, number 10, keeping up with the original pattern. If you sit down in a new loctician's chair and she doesn't ask you what your pattern is and you forget to tell her, you have a problem. You have someone who is lackadaisical with regard to the skill level that is required to maintain your hair, or they're such a, what do we call it, maverick, that they don't care about how to do your hair the right way. Now, I'm not a Sisterlocks idol worshiper. Y'all know that. But there are just certain things that I do want you to do right. You know what I'm saying? If I'm getting my install, I do want the grid because that's really what you're paying for. That's going to be one of your things that you'll use as a litmus test. Now, do I care when I asked T-Fries to separate some of the bigger ones at the front and then when I knew it was going to mess with my grid? No, because I'm not anal. But the grid is part of the litmus test. If you can't do the grid, can you actually do the pattern and the lock the way you're supposed to? Probably not. You need to go back and maybe repeat the class. So this is something you want to be mindful of as well. Now, again, I'm talking about hopefully a small percentage of people who are working on hair. Most of our locticians, I feel, more than likely have a very good work ethic. This is their bottom line. This is how they pay their bills. They're invested in longevity, healthy hair. They may have credentials other than the Sisterlocks credentials, so this may not apply. But it's still something that you definitely want to pay attention to. Do they keep up with the original pattern? And let me backtrack for a second. As far as the retightening, if it means you have to skip a rotation or a few points on that rotation to make sure that that thing is not so tight on your head that it's hurting, then you want to be careful. You don't want any pain, okay? Next one. Number 12, addresses slippage, balding, and the need for lock repair where necessary, okay? Let's say if your hair is slipping, you don't want to get up and go home and realize later it's slipping and they didn't do anything about it because you didn't bring it to their attention, or maybe it was because it was going to cost you. If you have bulging, if you have things that need to be repaired, you don't want to go home and find it. If you have a long lock and the bottom of that lock is thinning and all it takes is for them to help to repair that thinning error rather than just let it fall off, is to repair it and to connect the two fuller sessions together, which is something you can do as well. You want that to be done. I want something done. Nurse Ratchet, what gives you the damn right to have my cigarettes piled up on your desk? One flew over the cuckoo's nest. That's one of my favorite scenes. You want something done. You want something done about it. I don't believe in passivity. I believe in ownership. Whatever it is that you're doing or having someone do for you, they need to own it. They need to feel good about it, and they need to take pride in it. And if they don't, you don't want them on your hair. Let them cut your grass, but not have them in your hair. Folks, we have to start requiring more of people. We simply have to. We can't continue to patronize people who are not doing the quality and the level of work that we deserve. Bottom line, I don't care what color they are, what creed they're from, the fact that we are all sisters, we need to know that you value us as much as we value you. We value them until they give us a reason not to value them. So we want them to value us automatically. That's just so important. When we go and sit down in that chair, we value their hands. We know they have magic hands and they have a certain degree of power over our destiny when it comes to our hair. So we are invested in having a good relationship with that person. We're in a vulnerable position. So we have to still, in a very discreet, subtle, and feminine energy sort of way, communicate what our expectations are and help them to understand that we love on them. And one of the ways that we love on them is through having a healthy communication loop with them. And if they can't communicate with you and they can't show respect for what it is a concern of yours, you need to hit the door and vote with your feet. There's always somebody else can do your hair, even if it means you got to do your own. By the way, y'all, I'm going to have some luscious, beautiful curls. I haven't left these things in my hair for more than a day in about 5 years, maybe 6 years. And that's what I'm doing. And I use all the Wrap-A-Lock tools and pipe cleaners that I had. And Beauty Coliseum was out of pipe cleaners because I would have made them even smaller. I want to get like an afro. I want to see just how small I can get these curls. So stay tuned for the next video. Number 13, avoids holes in your lock. Now, a lot of times holes can happen due to negligence and respect for the pattern and the direction that the hair needs to be going in when they get back on your hair after not having been on it for a minute. So you just can't get in there and do whatever you want to do. That's the thing, y'all. And finding conscientious people today is a task. I don't care if you are getting something from somebody's yard sale, or you're getting something from a bake sale, or you're getting another service from an entrepreneur or someone else in business. Finding people who will really go the distance and do a good job from start to finish and be willing to be held accountable and to address your concerns, it's not an easy thing. And for me, I'm one of those people as a business owner, I feel like either you're born with it or you're not. Either you're a conscientious business person and you care about that bottom line and you're very detail oriented, or you just slack and you just fly by the seat of your pants and you just do anything any old kind of way. And y'all know I have videos that help you to kind of, in a very discriminating but subtly discriminating way, assess the landscape of the person that you're getting ready to choose as a loctician, all right? Because this is serious. And number 15, where did I get 18 from? Oh, 18 came from 18 ways that we block our abundance on my other channel. If I said 18, y'all, I mean 15. So 15 is avoiding the hole. 13 is the avoiding the holes. 14 is the hair is oiled or moisturized. Now, this is a controversial because many locticians don't feel that the hair should be oiled. And my thing is, and your thing needs to be, I'm going to give my hair what it needs. Because I don't care what such and such said or what such and such said. My hair is crying out. I haven't had oil on my hair for a year and a half. I got this scalp condition. My hair ain't happy. It's dry. It's looking crazy. I'm exposing myself to the elements. So while I might not be putting any heat on my hair, I'm doing other things to my hair that require I put things back into my hair to build its strength. So to me, part of a good retightening ensures that your hair is oiled, or that your hair is moisturized, or that someone at least makes reference to that aspect of your hair. Now, I'm not saying that that's a deal breaker, because you can always oil your hair on your own. But I can tell you from day one of my experience with Efrage, when she was actually doing my install, and I was one of those buy the book type Sisterlock people, and I don't know by what book and by what ideology, because you can hardly find out anything about Sisterlocks anyway. But I had been told or read somewhere in the research that I wasn't supposed to oil my hair. So it's kind of like everything you need to know when you're pregnant. You want to follow everything in that book. When she was putting that oil on my hair during the install, I was like, is it okay? I thought I read somewhere we're not supposed to oil. I was all shy and meek and all outside of myself, asking that question, feeling all crazy. And with the quickness, I was informed that, yes, it is. You have natural hair. I've been doing natural hair as a licensed professional for many years. And a lot of those Sisterlocks folks are not in the natural hair care business. They are in the Sisterlock business. And our hair needs moisture. And guess what? I have not suffered from a lack of products. I have been using my own product for 8+ years, okay? The I Am Melanin Magic brand. This is the main oil. That is a spray oil. This is the serum for hair loss, more medicinal. Although this has rectified many a woman that has had hair loss and balding. This is specifically designed for that. Some work for, some women will use one or the other. Some of you will use both, okay? I suggest you try it and see how you like it and be willing to be consistent and decide which one works better for you. But this is the all-over product, hair and scalp. If you choose to put it on your hair, this is thicker. It should only go on your scalp. It should not be in the lock part of your hair, the actual tresses, okay? So these things are very, very important. The other thing that is going to equate with a good retightening is a price that's fair, something that you feel good about, y'all, because no matter what happens, if you don't feel good about the price that you're paying, you don't feel good about the retight, you don't feel good about the Loctician. It's a balancing act between the two. There's a price point that I will be willing to pay up to for quality retightening. Now, when I went to that lady in Macon, y'all, I paid $225 for that retightening. It took 8 hours, and I had some married locks, but I appreciated the way she was moving very slow through my hair. But also, y'all, here is what I noticed. When I left out of there, I had no pain, but 3 days later, I had pain in my hair. So something went wrong, and it wasn't so much the slowness, perhaps, because she moved very slow. But I also told y'all she took the tool and she would use it to get in, but then she would feed the hair through and pull it through with her hand. She didn't use the tool in the traditional way. So I don't know. I wasn't sitting in that situation long enough to ascertain what it was. Maybe she went too close to my scalp, and that was the issue. All I know is I was so fascinated with the fact that I couldn't tell where she was in my hair because it felt so tender that I didn't notice how tight maybe she was tightening the locks. So the point is, she took a long time. I might have been willing to do that every 8 to 9 weeks, but I don't think I would have been willing to, I don't know. I don't think I would have been willing to sit there because I went there the first day. I was there for 3.5 hours. The second day I went back, I was there for almost 5. So yeah, so I had to leave there the first day to go to an appointment, but nobody's going to want to sit there for 8 hours for retightening. And then ideally she wanted to take over the shampooing of my hair, which you can better believe with a steam treatment would probably have added an additional hour or two. 10 hours, y'all hear me talk about the tyranny of hair enslavement? That's what I wanted to get away from. And I was never one to go to a beautician. I always did my own relaxers, my own dyes, my own hair. I think I've been to the salon maybe 3-4 times tops in my entire life. So y'all know I wasn't well, I would do my individuals. That would take 15 hours, but I would do that over a period of days. And if I put a hair weave in and it was a corn-rolled hair weave, that would take some time. But y'all, on the whole, I'm not a one to want to spend more than 15 minutes on my hair, even when I had a relaxer. So when I talk about the tyranny of hair enslavement, I moved away from that, and I was only doing maybe 15-20 minutes because I don't spend a whole lot of time in no mirror in the morning. And that's given quite a bit. My routine is I'm going to be in the shower longer than I'm going to be doing my face or doing my hair. So I don't think I could have maintained that. Now, would I have been willing to keep paying $225, which I think was a function of the amount of time it took more than anything else? Would I have been willing to keep paying that, coming every 6 weeks like she wanted me to come? No. Would I have paid $200 if I was getting it right at the time that I was comfortable for doing my retightenings, and if it took 4 or 5 hours? Yeah, if I was satisfied with her, yeah, I think I would have paid that. And that more than likely, I would have been doing my retightenings probably every 8 weeks. Okay, I could have gotten comfortable with that if I was satisfied with everything else. All right, so here we are at the end of our video. If you haven't purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, and you have a masterpiece that you're trying to manifest, get that book. I want you to stick around for a card if you are into messages, affirmational messages, mantras, or messages from spirit or the divine. No leaf falls from a tree in this universe without the creator's permission. So if something crosses your path, know perhaps that it was for you. But if you're interested in that, I'm going to go ahead and pull a card. But thank you for those of you who are signing off now. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everything you do, and I hope that you found these 15 reasons, something that makes sense to you and something that you can use. Please share, like, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And those of you who are already subscribed to the channel, if there's anything else you can think of, please put it in the comment section. And your card today is outrageous openness. What is it that you need to be open about? What is it that you need to be authentic about? What is it that you need to be self-accepting about? And how can you be more outrageously open about who you are, what you stand for, and what you do? No matter what it is, it's time for you to push your agenda. Dear love, open me to your will. Release me from my attachment. Surprise and delight me with your plan. You know what's needed. I am open to receive. The world around you is more open to you putting your foot down and putting yourself out there than you may realize. Be who you are and allow other people to accept you and to respond to who you are. And that's all it is. I love y'all. Have a beautiful day. Join the evolution. If you like my energy, go over to Butterfly Transformations, which is my other channel, and become a subscriber.
If you are not using Melanin Magic Hair Oil, then what are you using?
Hi, I'm the creator of the I Am Melanin Magic Skin and Hair Care brand. The I Am Melanin Magic Hair Oil is our premier product. It is the leading high-end supplement for your mane.
It reduces breakage and promotes growth and can be used on all hair types and looks, from straightened hair and microlocks to wigs and protective styles. It's antifungal, antibacterial, and it's anti-funk, so you know you're protected.
It softens and conditions your hair, and it's anti-frizz too.
Hey guys, so I started using this oil called I Am Melanin Magic since February of this year, and check out the new growth. Like, it's insane. Not only did it help with my new growth, but it smells amazing too.
See the dramatic improvements Denisha has made after not having hair around her edges for 3 years. Tanya's hair had been like this for almost 20 years, and while getting injections. Her doctor said it was scarred and would never grow back. After 4 weeks of using I Am Melanin Magic, this is what she looked like. I Am Melanin Magic did this to Danette's hair after a short time. This is really all your hair needs. It's rich with antioxidants, loaded with growth-promoting ingredients. Look at the growth of my hair. It's amazing. The product speaks for itself. Order yours today and don't delay. Don't delay. Purchase yours today.
I am Melanin Magic,
And so are you.